All right, so we're at the time where trades are about to happen. Now, I was like, people have been doing this for a while now. He should go here, he should go there, they should go everywhere. And I do sort of agree with that. But I was like, just my 2 cents on some of the things, and a very surprising one that I was like, I feel like should happen, but probably won't. But I was gonna say I still want to get out of being here first on the situation on the topic. Anyway, let's get down to some other ones. Just let's get some smaller ones. I don't know if it would happen, and I've seen people. We're gonna talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. They're gonna eat like they were talking about. Oh, either getting a pass rusher, getting a running back. I can't really think of any really big pass rusher that they really would be able to get just because, hey, they got money everywhere that they got to deal with. But, in that being said, I was like, everybody's been talking about Brees Hall to the Chiefs. And I don't think, while I don't think they're really going to make a spot at the running back position. I think they like Pacheco, Hunt, and Smith, who they've been incorporating. But I don't understand people doing the Brees Hall thing. Just because I think Brees Hall is, a good back. I was like, he got injured a couple years ago, but I think he's good. I was like, good. I was like, maybe not back to that level, but I was like, I think he's good enough. I was like, I just think he's on the sorry ass jet. So you never know how that really turns out. But I never understood him going there because I'm like, to me, I feel like while he's not as explosive, Pacheco sort of does what they sort of want to do. I was like, yes, Brees Hall can catch the ball out of the backfield a bit too, and whatever. I do, like I said, he's more explosive than Brees Hall. But the one that really makes sense is really Alvin Kamara to the Chiefs. He can run. I was like, and he does a lot of their stuff with screens and catching the ball in the backfield. And you gotta imagine somebody like Andy Reid having somebody like Kamara. I was like, I think that would be more of the running back they would need. Now, I do think that if you are wanting a back that you could just hand the ball to constantly, then I was like, okay, then I can get you with Brees Hall. But I think for the offense that they have, think about it. They got three fast dudes, Juju Smith-Schuster that could go through the middle. They also got Kelsey that's still doing this thing. I'm like, could you imagine Kamara? I mean, yeah, being an outlet out the backfield when Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to drop it deep. He just on the other side while you got like the speedsters down and Kelsey right there. Like that would be mayhem. And to me, I think that their defense is solid enough. And I was like, they have shown that their offensive back with Rashee Rice as well too. I forgot to name him. That I'm like, yo, just have a solid defense and then start outscoring a lot of these people. Because I was like, I think a lot of the defense has been up in the NFL in a way that I'm like, okay, y'all are pretty sound in that on defense. And I was like, hey, just go back to how it used to be with the whole thing. That's what you need to do. Anyway, outside of Kansas City Chiefs, I do think that Brees Hall should go to the Cardinals. And one, they lost James Conner, but I really think that is what sort of has stifled their offense. Is that now it just became more and more heavy on Kyler Murray, who started off pretty hot, and then sort of fell back a bit. But we've also seen with Jacoby Brissett that in his couple games, he had basically ran the offense and had played probably the best stretch of his career, at least from his early onset of playing in this. I was like early in his career. I was like, but to me, Brees Hall is somebody that I'm like, they need a running back that can just take all the pressure off of Murray in a way that is like, all right, cool, and plus it'll help set up their play action or whatever, and hopefully get that thing going better with them and Marvin Harrison and stuff like that. So I was like, I think that's the running back that needs to go there. Now, I guess you could say did that move really do anything to him? And I'm like, if you're gonna stay with Kyler Murray and Connor does get hurt a lot, get another running back in there, the one that you can really, really rely upon or whatever. And I was like, he's still. I was like still on the rookie. I was like contract. Yeah, I was like I know you probably have to pay him at some point, but he's not gonna cost anything crazy at this point in juncture in the game or whatever. Now, let's tear down my Miami Dolphins by basically getting rid of the two pass rushers. So, I think that Jalen Phillips, that's been pegged. I've seen a lot of people being like, "Oh, to the Cowboys." Problem with that to me is the fact that it's like, yes, but you're gonna have to pay him, and while you wouldn't have to be over here paying Micah money, you're still gonna have to be paying him. He's young as I was like, cause he's young as hell, even though he had injuries and stuff like that. But to me, out of nowhere, I think they should pull the trigger. It's the Detroit Lions. I was like, they always have issues in their secondary. What stops? I was like, what helps that? Pass rush. Aiden Hutchinson has been the lone dude always on their line. Get another pass rusher dude in there. They tried it last year with Zaire Smith. Did not really work that well. He did good enough while Hutchinson was out, but obviously they didn't keep him. So get him another young dude. Go ahead and pair up with him. Like I said, I was like, yes, you would have to pay him, but the money's not gonna be like crazy like that. But I'm just like, to me, the Detroit Lions at this juncture can afford to let go of a mid pick in order to get them. And plus, the stronger their defense is, the more they don't have to rely on that offense and see how this all ends with Jared Goff trying to dump something out at the end of the year where like we can see him play his best ball, and then sometimes we're just like, he golfed it up. I was like, so I think that's a good place for him to go. I was like, I think he could be. I think he'll probably be the bigger chip just because I said, like, even though he had the injuries, he's really young in a lot of these situations. I was like, the 49ers, I was like, could use him as well, but I was like, because I was like, he'll just be a rental there because they got a lot of money in a lot of other places and whatnot. I was like, if the Ravens was having a better season, maybe him being there, I was like, that would be like a good look. I know there's been something with like Tampa Bay or whatever, but I was like, I don't know if they're gonna do any moves to like, to tweak their roster or anything. I just really like it for the Lions just to go ahead and, I'm not giving it to. I ain't doing no Eagle. Eagles ain't picking nothing up. That's all I'm saying. They good. Whatever they do, they good. Going to Bradley Chubb, I think he should go to the Cowboys. I was like, veteran dude. I was like, still got some juice in the tank. I was like, you ain't got to worry about a contract with him. You can keep him. He's not getting paid in the same way that Mike and all them is. I was like, he's not gonna cost you really anything with picks. I was like, they just need a guy there that can be a pass rush guy. And I was like, to be honest with their defense, I was like, they already got the DBs in the back. They just need a pass rush. And I do think that this crew is a solid amount of pass rushers when they was going to have a dominant pass rusher. Now, Chubb is not that anymore like how he was with Denver. He's been okay, I was like, injuries withstanding with the Dolphins. But I think that should be the move that they should make. Where it's like, I think he's still on the contract for a minute. To where it's like, all right, just plug him in. I was like, he's sort of at the linebacker pass rusher spot anyway. I was like, he is still somebody that you still got to be worrisome of. And the Cowboys, to be honest, they just need a guy that's good enough. And they could probably we can at least get into the playoffs. Their offense is over here looking prolific. So it's like that little will be good. I was like, for them. And I was like, there's some other teams that might make some plays, but it's like everybody's sort of in the middle of the pack in a way where I was like, they might just stay in pack more than being like, let's go in a season like we would normally see where there'd be a lot more higher end teams. And I was like, I think a lot of teams are solid, but to where it's like, I don't think there's really any moves that needs to be made. Another one I think that could be pulled off. But then again, I was like, they might not even have the draft pick necessarily to do it. But if the Steelers could get Jacoby Myers, I was like, they need another receiver. I know Austin's coming back. I was like, they got think the dude's named Miller or whatever, and they got a good 4 amount of like tight ends. And I was like, I still need somebody that they can throw the ball to. I think Jacoby Myers has basically been one of them dudes that broke out with the Patriots, didn't know how good he could be. I was like, he's been the number one target basically for the Raiders after Devontae Adams left. And I think he's been solid. He's not a number one. But I do think that for your number two type of dude, the move your chain kind of guy, because I do think that your tight, I was like, while they do got 3 solid tight ends, I was like, they're solid, but they're all like, except Firemouth, good. I was like, Washington, he just 6'8". That's basically what it is. And Hayward, he's decent. I was like, nothing to go on about, but he's decent. To where I'm just like, all right, get you another guy that can move the chain, because I was like, he's really good. I was like, especially playing, I was like, from New England and on, or whatever, doing that Julian Edelman, finding the spot, or whatever. And I was like, with a guy like Rodgers, I think that's somebody that he needs in this offense, or whatever, because it's like, DK is deep, your tight ends are right. You need somebody that can just move the chain. Now, let's go to the big one. I think the Buffalo Bills, because guess what? I was like, I know you're thinking like, oh man, what defensive player they gonna get? And I was like, yes, they could go get like the corner from Seattle, Rio, I think his name, or Rick. I don't know him. I'm not gonna act like I do. I just seen him in type of stuff. I think they should go ahead and give up their first round pick and trade the Eagles for AJ Brown. I know you're thinking, you might be thinking like, what, huh? And I was like, well, they might have to give up another receiver, like maybe like hell, if I care, first round pick and Keon Coleman, I don't care. But I do think that this offense is missing that. I was like, the idea, I was like, the idea seems grand of like, oh man, spread the ball around, no egos, and that's all the stuff. But they don't have anybody that is. I was like, Shakir is really good. And Palmer, I was like, he's came on in a couple weeks, but they don't really have like, Coleman is not really using his 6'5" basketball skill set that everybody was talking about really there. He doesn't have like this. He's not a 6'5" dude that can also beat you downfield or whatever, like, like Vincent Jackson or something like that. No. I was like, and he's not big body, just throw it up to him either. I was like, he had glimpses, but do you really have that in Buffalo where you need glimpses? So I was like, hey, first round pick, y'all are going to be picking late anyway. Go ahead, send off that first round pick and get AJ Brown. And it's like, I know y'all just got rid of Stephon Diggs, and then you're gonna get AJ Brown. But guess what? I was like a little bit younger. I was like still playing at a high level. Diggs playing also at a high level too, or whatever. But on his offense, I was like, while he has been grumpy, he has shown that he's willing to play in a team that where they just gonna run the ball, play with a quarterback that can run. I was like, you might get the ball here, you might not get the ball there. So he done already did all this. But guess what? He is going to be the main focus in a way that might not be with the Eagles. The Eagles is sometimes coin flip. How it's going to be this week. Josh Allen, at least is going to be like, if all else fails, I'm throwing it to AJ Brown. And I was like, he might just be one of them dudes where like he needs a top target. I was like, go ahead, give the reigning MVP some help. And look, I don't know what else much you're going to really be able to do to fix that defense. I think that defense is as it is. But normally with McDermott's defense, they do get a little bit better as the season go on, even if that sometimes is their weakness. But I was like, with AJ Brown, I was like, it opens up more of the run game that you get James Conner if you're willing to run the ball with him. I think it'll win-win. Now, do I think this is actually going to happen? Well, this particular trade. I think the other ones have a possibility of happening. Except for the Steelers one, because I already said it. But, off season, this is also one I think that might have a chance to happen. I was like, I mean, what else? I was like, what else you got to do other than to maximize Josh Allen at this point? Got a really good line. I was like, you got a good running back. I was like, the receivers. I was like, Brown and Shakir. I was like, that's all you need. Coleman, have him go to the Eagles. I was like, Devontae Smith. I was like, he'll be fine there. Coleman, number 2. They'll figure it out. I was like, Allen already got the 2 at tight ends. I was like, hey. I was like, look, if your defense going to play like that, you might as well outscore dudes. Because I was like, their offense been, I was like, cause you can't have your offense and defense be a problem while you got Josh Allen. Anyway, let me know what y'all think, especially about that last one. I was like, yeah, I know it might have just came out of nowhere, but sound pretty good, don't it? Anyway, let me know what y'all think. Stay tuned, I guess. We'll all see.